Hi, in this video training of Python Pandas, we will be looking at cleaning data. So data cleaning means fixing bad data in your dataset. Bad data could be empty cells, data in wrong format, wrong data, or duplicates. In this video training, we will use data.csv. You can download it from my GitHub repo. I have added a download link in video description. The dataset contains some empty cells, date in row 22 and calories in row 18 and 28. The dataset contains wrong format, date in row 26. The dataset contains wrong data duration in row 7. The dataset contains duplicates, row 11 and 12. So let's first look at how to clean empty cells. Empty cells can potentially give you wrong results when you analyze data. One solution is to remove rows. One way to deal with empty cells is to remove rows that contain empty cells. This is usually okay since datasets can be very big and removing a few rows will not have a big impact on the result. Let's return a new data frame with no empty cells. Okay, let's create a project file for this video training and to name it pandas data cleaning or call it empty cells. Pandas clean empty cells .py and import pandas as pd, and then we can say df is equal to pd.read csv, and we pass in the name of the file is actually dirty data.csv. Okay, then we have new df equals drop df.drop na, print new df dot to string. Okay, let's save this program and run it on the console. So we have Python pandas data clean empty cells. Okay, so let's run the program. By default, the drop na method returns a new data frame and will not change the original. If you want to change the original data frame, use the in place true argument. You see in the output it has removed the empty cells from the dataset. To remove all rows with null values, we can pass the parameter in place equals true. Now the drop na in place equals true will not return a new data frame, but it will remove all rows containing null values from the original data frame. Okay, another solution of cleaning empty cells is to replace empty values. Another way of dealing with empty cells is to insert a new value instead. This way you do not have to delete entire rows just because of some empty cells. The fill na method allows us to replace empty data cells with a value. So we can use fill na function here. This example is about removing empty cells, and now we are going to fill empty cells. This okay, we can say here df dot fill na and pass in 130 comma in place true. We can print df save the file and we run the program, you see it has filled the empty cells with the data. To replace only for a specified column, the example above replaces all empty cells in the whole data frame. To only replace empty cells, values for one column, specify the column name for the data frame. To replace null values in the calories columns with the number 130, you can use and mention the column as well. Okay, now it has only replaced the null values if there were any in the calories column. Okay, the next thing is to replace using mean, median or mode. A common way to replace empty cells is to calculate the mean, median or mode value of the column. Pandas uses the mean, median and mode methods to calculate the respective values for a specific column. Let's calculate the mean and replace any empty value with it. Okay, now let's calculate the median and replace any empty cells with it. We can use the same code as we did for mean. We just need to replace the mean function in the statement with median. So we can say median method and we can median here. So nothing else is different from the previous example. Median means the value in the middle and after you have sorted all the values in ascending order. You see we have 29.2 in the console. Change it to df and now we have the data using the median method. Similarly, you can calculate the mode and replace any empty values with it. So let's use the mode function and we can just copy this data here and I can comment this out and using mode method and I can say it here mode and 0. Okay, that's it for now. Let's run the program. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the next topic in cleaning data, that is cleaning data of wrong format. Cells with data of wrong format can make it difficult or even impossible to analyze data. To fix it, you have two options. Either you can remove the rows or convert all cells in the columns into the same format. So let's look at the first solution to convert into a correct format. In our data frame, we have two cells with the wrong format. Check out row 22 and 26. The date column should be a string that represents a date. Let's try to convert all cells in the date column into dates. Pandas has a to_datetime methods for this. You see we have two columns, NaN and row 26. These are not in proper formats. So we are going to convert all the columns in the date column, all the values in the date column to the datetime format. I'm going to create another file for this, pandas clean wrong data.py. Let's say import pandas as pd. Okay, df equals pd.read csv and dirty data.csv. Okay, df date, as we are only targeting the date column in our data frame. pd.to date time and df date print df.to string. Let's run the program. Okay. The date at 26 has been fixed, but the data at row 22 was not fixed because the value was already a null value. Let's see it before converting. It's not a number basically. That's why it wasn't converted to the date format, so that's all right. As you can see, the date in 20 row 26 were fixed, but the empty data in row 22 got a NAT, not a time value, in other words an empty value. One way to deal with empty values is simply removing the entire row. So let's look at removing rows. The result from the converting in the example above gave us a NAT value which can be handled as a null value, and we can remove the row by using the drop NA method. To remove rows with the null value in the date column, we can use df.dropNA subset date in place true. Okay, let's df.dropNA subset equals date, and we can pass in place equals true. Okay, let's see what happens now. you see the row, the row 22 has been removed, so we have 21 and we have 23 right after 21. Okay, wrong data. Wrong data does not have to be empty cells or wrong format. It can just be wrong, like if someone registered 199 instead of 1.99. Sometimes you can spot wrong data by looking at the dataset because you have an expectation of what it should be. If you look at our dataset, you can see that in row 7 the duration is 450. Right here it's 450. But for all the other rows the duration is between 30 and 60. You can see it's starting from 60 and some of the values are 13, 45, etc. It doesn't have to be wrong, but taking in consideration that this is the data set of someone's workout sessions, we conclude with the fact that this person did not work out in 450 minutes. How can we fix wrong values like the one for duration in row 7? Okay, one way to fix wrong values is to replace them with something else. In our example, it is most likely a typo, and the value should be 45 instead of 450, and we could just insert 45 in row 7. So let's set duration 45 in row 7. df dot index 7 and duration column equals 45. Okay, object is not callable. Okay, df dot index 7 and duration equals 45. Range index. I think this syntax is not supported in Python 2.7 and that's why it didn't work out. Similarly, for small data sets, you might be able to replace the wrong data one by one, but not for big data sets. To replace wrong data for larger data sets, you can create some rules. For example, set some boundaries for legal values and replace any values that are outside of the boundaries. Okay, let's loop through all the values in the duration column. If the value is higher than 120, set it to 120 for x in df index. Okay. Let's do this and we can say for x in df dot index, okay, if df dot loc x comma duration is greater than 120, okay, then what we should do, df dot loc x comma duration, set it to 120, save the file, go to the console, run the program. Okay, you see the value of the row 7 in the column duration was 450, and when we ran this program we checked that if the value is greater than 120, set it to 120, and if it's less than 120 then leave it as it is. So we can remove, fix and replace wrong data as well using this strategy. Okay, let's look at removing rows. Another way of handling wrong data is to remove the rows that contains wrong data. This way you do not have to find out what to replace them with, and there is a good chance you do not need them to do your analysis. Let's delete rows where duration is higher than 120. So we can simply change the code here, and we can say df dot drop, and we can say x, and in place equals true. That should do the job. Let's run the program. You see, we have removed the row number 7 because the value was greater than 120. So we removed the wrong data from our data set. Okay. How do you discover duplicates in your data sets? So duplicate rows are rows that have been registered more than one time. But taking a look at our data set, we can assume that row 11 and 12 are duplicates. You see, the row 11 and 12 have the date, same duration, date, calories, etc. All the values are same. So these are duplicate rows. To discover duplicates, we can use the duplicated method. The duplicated method returns the Boolean values for each row. So we can simply say df.duplicated. I can comment this out, and I can say print df.duplicated. Okay, and let's run the program. You see, it has returned duplicate values, duplicate rows. So 12 has true because it is a duplicate of row 11. So there was only one duplicate in our data set. So you can find that by using the duplicated method. I hope that you have learned about Python Pandas cleaning data and how to utilize it in your programs. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you next time with a new topic in Python.